Good afternoon, Accountability Acts. Marty Keller here with John Donovan on our Friday afternoon podcast, although this doesn't get posted on Fridays usually. I'd like to welcome a special guest, dear friend of ours, Tim Peppel. Also with me here in Sacramento, although not physically in the same location, John Donovan in Oceanside, California. And this our last podcast of 2021.
Oh my God.
Who would believe it? So before we move into the podcast, I'd like to make a pitch to everybody who's watching this to subscribe to our channel, subscribe to the Intentional Living channel. It helps us build our viewership. And when we get to 100, we get some special breaks from YouTube. So please hit the subscribe button and be part of this process. Help us grow the audience in 2022. We really appreciate it. And as always, we're here to talk about our experience with the accountability practice. If you're looking closely, you can see behind John's head the entire process laid out on a whiteboard. So we just like to talk about different parts of that. And as I said today, we're joined by a special guest of ours, Tim Peppel. Tim and I have been friends for more years than I can count. And every year has been a great delight. He and I have worked together on different spiritual practices, psychological quests, etc., for a long, long time. And Tim was part of our men's group back in the day where John Donovan came in and our facilitator, which is how I think we both met you, John.
Yeah.
And so Tim has been part of this process for a long time. So Tim, welcome. Why don't you, if you're willing to share with the folks watching, what brings you here today?
Hi, everyone. So thank you, Marty, for that nice introduction. And John, great to see you. So I've been watching these podcasts for over a year now. And so it's always been great to get the information. And so now I'm on the last day of the 2021. So I'm excited about that. So I'm here in Sacramento, and I've been part of the work that Marty was talking about for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe a little bit more. And sometimes I feel like I've got it down, and other times I feel like I'm a rookie again, and I just have to start at the beginning. But it's because I'm changing all the time. So I've been in big groups, small groups, doing this work with accountability with both John and Marty, with a few people or big groups. And it's always, I always get something from them, even when I'm reluctant to go and I, think, oh, I can't, I always either I share and give something or I receive something. And most of the time it's both. So I use this work in my life. It augments other things that I do, but the process and the steps and the information is very valuable and practical, and it can be done individually or it can be done in groups, and that really is where I find the biggest gains come from when I'm in relation and discussing this. But certainly has it does have value just working with it on my own as well. So I'm just happy to be here. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to say biographically or
well, it might be this might be helpful for people to appreciate that you're a high school teacher. I think you teach history and government and culture, and here in Sacramento. And clearly, I taught school way back when, many years ago. So I have a little bit of experience, a little bit of being able to step in your shoes. And I can't imagine that working with adolescents doesn't call forth to me the power of doing my accountability every single day.
Yeah, well, I'm fully employed, like you said, a high school student here in Sacramento. high school teacher in Sacramento. I teach social sciences. Yeah, I've always a class of mirrors. And one of the things I've learned in this work is that I get exactly what I'm asking for, and what I'm creating internally, what's happening inside, I get to see outside, and I get to see it in, how things, are going. And, so that's good information for me. So just that part of it. But then there's a whole preparation that goes into it. And that's where my monkey mind and my feelings of inadequacy, lack of worth, can't do it, all those come up, and I have to, constantly be aware of those. So yeah, it's I'm always preparing, I'm always, working it. So that's always an opportunity to check in and say, okay, what's happening here? And I can see oftentimes if I'm open to it, just by looking at, what's happening in my work relationships with students, colleagues, the content I have to deal with. So this is a great place to come to get support.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Hey, John, Tim just raised a couple of points, and maybe you could start us out by elaborating on. The first thing I heard you say, Tim, was when you're in the classroom, you're in a room full of mirrors. And so what we're seeing, and this is true of me and John, wherever any of us goes, that we're actually in a room full of mirrors. And that exemplifies a couple of things for me. John, if you'd be willing to share your thoughts about this. One, of course, is that that capacity that we're always projecting, and that's what the mirrors are for us to see. What are we projecting? And then that comes from a deeper principle that life is lived from the inside out. And accountability really helps me appreciate both of those dynamics. So, John, some thoughts about that from your perspective.
Yeah, I have the 4 constants, and the second constant is own your projections. I have a license plate frame on the front license plate of my car, and on the top it says personalize everything, and on the bottom one says don't take anything personal. So everything I see, anybody I look at, is true about me. It may or may not be true about them, and until I check with them, I don't know. It's a projection. And then don't take anything personal. Whatever anybody does to me, they're looking at a mirror of me, which means they're looking at themselves and talking about themselves. And for the most part, most people don't know that. Most people think that what they're seeing is really out there and factual because they've seen it, they experienced it, and that's the reality out there. What I've learned through my own recovery, and now what I teach and have put in the material, is that I do not see people the way they are. I see people the way I am, and I project that onto them. Usually when we talk about projections, when I heard you say that word, projections have what I would consider a negative connotation, like you're doing something wrong, or you're doing it on purpose, well, yeah, those two things. And really, it's like a projector, a film projector. It just throws out what the film says, the pictures in the film going in front of it. So my experience is the film going in front of my eyes, and I'm projecting that out. So when I see a person who was compassionate or caring, that is also a projection, because I don't know their motivations. I project their motivations onto them. If I see somebody who is rude and insolent, I don't know if they are, I don't know what their motives are, I don't know where they're at. I am projecting that onto them. And usually when we talk about projections, we go to the negative, derogatory, character defect things. And at first, Well, that's actually pretty much all I had was the character defects that I could not see. And one that is particularly strong for me right now is liar. It's like when I realized somebody was lying to me, I would project liar, and I would cut off the relationship, or I would do something that I thought was in alignment with what they were doing to me. And once I understood that I was projecting liar and the intensity that goes with that, and owned, oh my God, I'm a liar. Oh my God, not only am I a liar, I'm a bald-faced liar, because I'll lie when there's no reason to lie. Or embellish, or so when I own I'm a liar, the film I projected through had a filter now on it of compassion. That's the first time I've said it this way. I really like that. Thank you, Tim, for coming on. This is really cool, because when we dialogue, when we come together with intent, with purpose, the magic happens. And I like that analogy I just used. I now filter through, I project through the filter of compassion. So what I see in the other person tells me where I'm at. And if I really want to know how well my recovery is doing, I will go home and visit the family, and then see what the projections are there. And I want to offer, recently they've been nice. It's been I've seen fun, kidding, camaraderie, especially I'm thinking right now of my older brother, and I actually had fun and enjoyed the time with him. Where before I was projecting and I didn't have the filter of compassion, and he of course was the asshole and mean guy, and now he's just not that, because I'm not seeing that I'm not projecting that onto him. He's always acted the same way. He hasn't changed. Well, he may have changed a little bit. He's growing, he's getting older like me, and just sometimes with age you kind of mellow. And I'm sure that's true for him. But yeah, projection, we live on a planet of mirrors. We have 7.5 billion mirrors, so we can really get a detailed observation of ourselves if we're willing to look, and we know that that's what we're looking at. Above the Temple of Delphi, on the pillar or the block that's up there, it says, "Know thyself." Well, we live in the perfect world to know ourselves if we know that what we're looking at is mirrored to us. We are mirrored back to ourselves. It's like Google Map. If you want to know where you're at, just look and just identify the terrain. You know exactly where you're at, so you can look for what you want. So, thanks.
Well, Tim, I'm going to just see if you're open to responding to this, because for me, as I learned this process sitting in our men's group with John, facilitating, and I can remember several instances quite graphically of you working with me on projections, John, that you could see, which I couldn't see. That's part of the that's part of the challenge here. And it had to do with being mean. It had to do with I was angry at somebody for being mean to me or being mean to other people. I don't remember the specifics.
Right.
And of course, as facilitator, you would say something to the effect of, well, are you willing to consider that you're mean? And I remember sitting there, initially bewildered, because I just, that wasn't in my script, that I was mean. I'm a nice guy, and why, how could that possibly be true? But I had an inkling somewhere in my body, somewhere in here, that said, there's some truth to this. And what was important for me is the instruction that you gave us to be willing to consider this without blame or judgment.
Yes.
And I remember sitting there going, okay. I'm having this internal dialogue. Y'all are sitting out there, and maybe you could read it on my face, I don't know. But I'm sitting there going, you know what? I'm going to just take a shot at this. I'm actually going to suspend judgment, and I'm going to be willing to consider the possibility that I'm mean. And then, we did the accountability practice from there, which is, owning, and watching the emotional energy that comes from stating that truth. And I don't remember anything past that. I just remember that process of being willing to avoid blame and judgment. So that was one of my first experiences with this. And if I hadn't been able to have that moment of not blaming or judging myself for being mean, to be willing to see meanness as just a reality that had no good or bad, it was a neutral truth. I don't know, probably the next time or the next few times after that, I would have gotten there, but it really required me to suspend that judgment, as it were. And I just wanted to see, Tim, if you had any examples that you can think of from your own experience with this owning projections, avoiding blame and judgment. There, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, you did, which is fine, but so first off, let me just say that sometimes for me, the blame and judgment, that I don't want to go there, and so that creates a feeling in me, so I know something's going on there. So that is a good indicator that, okay, then I need to take a closer look at this if we're doing this work. But in real life, probably with my wife, in more frequently, what I see in her being being procrastinating or being not good with spending money, not being thoughtful, and those are, I see those in her, and then I go, like John, you were saying, wait a minute, I get that's coming back at me because I'm getting a charge over that, so I'm feeling that and I'm reacting to it, and so I'm hooked there, and so that happens quite a bit, just in that relationship that I have there.
So you want to try it now, Tim? If you like,
sure.
Pick one of the things. Did I hear? I'm not sure what I heard you say. She's not thoughtful, or that probably wasn't what you said.
Something like that, just careless with spending money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the projection, and whether it's true or not about her doesn't really matter. Then you would just simply say, I am careless with money, and then take a breath and see where your body goes with that. If you're open to do it now, I'm not.
Yeah. So I'm careless with my spending my money.
Yeah, and then take a breath. And then something will come to you about what you want that's different than that. Or something will come to you about the kernel of truth that's true for you inside around money. And it will lead you to, I intend to, and then you'll speak that up. So I'm careless with money. The breath, no blame, no judgment, no story. It is my intent to.
So I'm careless with my money, and that makes me really mad because I don't see it. I don't, that it's important to me, and that security. And so I intend to be understanding.
There you go. Yeah. I intend to be compassionate.
Being compassionate.
Okay. So we're looking for the kernel of truth. I'm careless with money. So might not be a truth for you is that you care more about money than you do your relationship with your
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try that. I care more about money than I do about the relationship with my wife. And see what the truth is in there. Because when you say it with no blame or judgment, whatever part of that is true for you would resonate in your body. And then you can create an intent to change that or to make it what you want.
Yeah.
So the statement would be, I care more about money than I do my relationship with my wife.
So I care more about money than I do my relationship with my wife.
And then breathe. Nice deep breath. So what would you like to be come from your motivation around you and your wife? I intend to.
I intend to accept others and myself.
Okay. And check in with your body now too. See what that feels like.
I'm still a little tight. I'm still a little tight in my arms and my upper body. So definitely there's.
So what we're looking for is a truth that resonates even deeper. I want to offer that give yourself permission to care more about money than you do your relationship. Just it's like I can see that's important to you, and it may be hooked in with your relationship with your wife, but in a kind of convoluted way that she might not understand. So if you just give yourself permission to be to care more about money than you do your relationship with your wife, and see what happens.
Would you like me to state that?
Yeah, I give myself permission to continue what I'm doing.
So I give myself permission to continue with what I'm doing.
Yeah. And just take a breath.
I hope that's not your
I
wife.
apologize for that.
That's okay. It's okay. Just take breathe. This too shall pass. It's like sometimes I have interruptions. People knock.
Exactly. Right. That's a real
So
life.
you give yourself permission to continue, and then just breathe, and then see what comes to you.
Well, what's coming to me is it feels good that I've given myself permission for something.
Yeah.
Regardless of, that.
Right, wrong.
Regardless of what it is, because it puts me into a position of, I don't know, power, control within something that I can work with.
Okay.
I'm giving myself permission.
Okay.
That's coming, not anyway. So that's sort of what.
And then whatever comes up in the future or what we're talking about, sometimes fighting this subconscious part of ourselves that bring us the irritation, agitation, otherwise annoyance in our life. Fighting it is a losing battle. And when you give yourself permission, the mechanism, the midbrain and the brainstem actually relax for a moment because, okay, I don't have to worry about that right now. So you become lucid, and then something new will enter and add to you. And then we'll just move from there. It's like, I was working with somebody and they didn't, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they didn't want to give that up. And I said, oh, okay. That's valid. That's whatever the behavior was. That's valid. I mean, you don't have to give it up. This is a no blame, no judgment zone. You do exactly the way you want to do it. And when you do it consciously, something shifts. And something, the goal is to add new information to yourself. And then see what happens. It may take the edge off of your observation of her. I don't know. And it doesn't matter. We're just looking for something different. We're not looking for better. We're not looking for, oh, let's be good now. We're simply looking for different. And that's the way our conscious mind works. We have a point of reference. And when we think, we judge that from that point of reference where we're at. And when we have a point of reference that's clear and know what we want, and oh, by the way, what is it you want that you don't have? If you don't mind. If I ask you that question, what do you want that you don't have? And just take a breath. You just take your time.
What I want is peace.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I want, Tim. Yeah. Okay. So in this giving yourself permission, you get a different frame of reference. The frame of reference grows. And now in your rational mind, you can see, you can look for a difference. When you see a difference in your attitude, perception, projection of her, that's the growth. And then you go from there. Well, then we do it again. And then we do it again, then we do it again. There's been things I've been working on that come from my 8-year-old wounded child that I've worked on, I could say clearly, easily 100, 200 times, maybe more. I could say probably with a little bit of doubt, 1,000 times, somewhere in between there, with this one aspect of myself. And number one, giving myself permission to be whatever it is I am in the moment. There's a softening, there's an opening that happens. And
a validation of self.
It's like some people, when they hear this be accountable, own your projections, they think it's about being good. So that becomes the focus. I need to be good. I need to get this. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. If your intent is to find peace, that's the goal. And it doesn't matter how, when you created the intent to find peace, it created the availability of you and I to have this conversation about this particular focus or subject or projection, and just simply offer new information. It's not about beating somebody up or making them do this or what you need to. No, you don't. Being in this conversation and doing things consciously. I'm trying to think of something consciously. Oh, eat ice cream. I get my ice cream. Ice cream. I don't need dairy except for, well, I'm gonna be honest now, cheese, a little bit of cheese every once in a while, and Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream. So I give and I know that what it does, and I give myself permission. And what I found, instead of craving Haagen-Dazs and having 1 pint a week, I have maybe 1 pint every 2 months. Okay, and you know what? I'm not giving it up. I am not giving it up. And I know that it's the best thing for me. It would be good for me. No way, fuck you. I'm having my Haagen-Dazs. So, and in the process of doing this consciously, I find the times where the craving for it or the idea of it softens, or is the times I eat it are become longer in between. So really cool. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is that related to our principle, what we resist persists?
Yes, absolutely. And if I resist being bad or not getting it, then guess what? Then I'm not going to get it, and I'm going to be bad. So no. This is a dialogue where you're open and free to say no. Any conversation, you have the option, yes, no, maybe. And any one of those consciously is viable in the conversation. I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. I tell the people that I'm working with that I'm not against drugs and alcohol. They can choose yes if that's what they want. I'm not here to tell them it's a wrong choice. They have choice. Now, what do you want that you don't have, which is along the lines of, it is my intent to live in peace, or I want self-confidence, or I want to love myself, or I want to forgive myself. Let's talk about that. So it's not about not doing something or getting something right. It's about looking at it and exploring what you do want and how to maneuver yourself or to access peace, self-confidence, self-forgiveness, self-love. And in that dialogue, things change. No blame, no judgment. And we live in a society that's riddled with blame, judgment. Even if you look at accountability up in the dictionary, it in the definition, it says find somebody blameworthy. It's like, wow, okay, no, that's not what we're doing. We're simply stating the truth of where we find ourselves, no blame, no judgment. And then seeing what happens. I was talking about working with addicts and alcoholics. I do this with heroin addicts. Because when I ask them, what do you want? And I hear them say, I want to be sober. I know from where I was as an alcoholic, I did not want to be sober because sobriety sucks. And so I say, well, how many times have you tried to quit? And they'll say 500 times all my life, the last 10 years. I said, okay, so why don't you give yourself permission to use it? And they look at me like, what? I said, here's the statement. I hold value as a human being. And I'm a heroin addict, and I give myself permission to use heroin. And they try it, and what they find is this sloughing, this relief, this lucid moment where they can contemplate their behaviors. And I remember one guy specifically saying, being resistant to saying it in the first place, and when he finally agreed, he said, I hold value as a human being, and I'm a gutter snipe junkie, and I give myself permission to use heroin. And then he said, just not today, John. And that's what that relief, that moment of choice is what we're looking for. We're not looking to fix people. And the more I want him not to use heroin, guess what? The more this mechanism inside of him is going to seek and find heroin, because that's his relief. So,
John, if I might, when I hear you saying those words, I give myself permission, when I'm feeling that now, it seems like it lets me off the hook of those barriers.
Yes.
Like it gets me, okay, I'm giving myself permission to feel indignant or angry.
Yes.
You know, and that kind of, you know, my beliefs and habits and all those expectations are spinning, and that kind of gets me off of that page.
It gets you out of your subconscious pattern and intensity about, oh my God, money. It's like this intensity to, oh wow, that's interesting, which is lucid. See, in that lucid place, you can re-choose. You can realize, oh my God, what is more important to me? Oh my God. I want to offer the way the system's set up now, money is important. I mean, as a healer, counselor, food, shelter, clothing, how do I get that? Money. I mean, it's right in my face. I mean, I could give this all away free, and I do a certain portion of it. No, I deserve compensation, and that's in the form of money. And people's judgment of me about that is their judgment of me about that. Back in the ancient days, from what I can picture, the shaman or the healer in the village got supported. They made sure he had a house. They made sure he had food on his table. They made sure he had clothes so that he could bring his gift to the community. So they took care of him that way. So if people want to come by and make me a shack or a yurt, I'm cool with that. I mean, I'll take it wherever way I can. But today, in today's society, it's through and I deserve that support. And it's important to me. It's important to me being able to have time with my grandson and my children and my leisure time, my relaxed time, my rejuvenation time, so that I can be there for people. So yeah, money is no joke. So there you have it.
You know, there's a couple of things that jumped out at me as I was listening to you guys dialogue here. One is that, and then we've talked about this before, both on this podcast and in our group meetings, Tim, is that when I say I give myself permission, and it doesn't matter what comes next, doesn't matter what the object of that sentence is, I give myself permission as an act of unconditional love. And this is what this work is all about at the foundation. And that's what no blame, no judgment is all about.
Yes.
So love starts out as unconditional acceptance. And that's what I did not experience as a little boy.
Right.
And that's what I started chasing all my life, but it was all twisted because love was what I learned love was actually not what I'm looking for. And so that give myself permission, it's like I give myself permission to be messed up about what love is.
Yep.
I give myself permission to not know what to do.
Yes.
And there's a solvent. You talked about, John, about that relaxing.
Yep.
Occurs. There's a solvent that dissolves for me resistance, and it dissolves this this inner 10 commandment tablet that I have that says thou shalt and thou shalt not. It's like no. I want to learn something else here. I want to experience unconditional love, and I want it to start with me. And so for what I learned is when you introduced that concept to us, and you did introduce that in our men's group many years ago, I kind of thought that was the most brilliant thing among the 2 or 3 most brilliant things that you've come up with, because it is not, because it's active. It happens in the moment. I give myself permission right there. Love is happening. We're not in theory land. We're just in the feeling of it. So Tim, even you talked about just, that sense of relaxation or letting go. I forget your words, but for me, this is what our work is all about. It's moving to this unconditional acceptance of this universe in which we live, move, and have our being, just the way it is. And when I'm in that moment of unconditional acceptance, I'm also in the moment of all possibility for what's next. And that to me is that it's like the 2-step that we're doing. I love myself unconditionally. Okay, what do I want next? And then I participate in the creating of that, as you said, John, consciously.
Yes.
It's now in consciousness rather than repressed down in my subconscious where I can't see it, feel it. It just feels like something I get controlled by. This impulse or compulsion to do certain things or to react in certain ways. So I wanted to throw that out there. I think that what we're actually doing here is we're learning to love ourselves unconditionally.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've always wanted. I mean, so that's our baseline.
Yeah. And you're finally given it from the only source you really can get it from is yourself.
Which we couldn't know growing up.
No.
We didn't have any until our culture has that collective aha that this is what we're really up to. We're not going to get it in our childhood.
No.
Because our parents don't have it. So, unless we're Solomon and we have Grandpa John, we're not going to get it. And no blame, no judgment. This is evolution happening. And we're a lot closer to that now than we were 2,000 years ago when Jesus said it for the first time.
Yeah.
But it's all experiential. It's not about It's not about thinking, although like you said to Tim, eventually our conscious minds can look at what's happening and create an explanation. And, we do that here. We have principles that we've derived from our experience that our conscious minds love to take a look at and so forth. But it's a fundamentally, for me, it's learning to experience that sense of I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm valued. Oh, okay. So now what do I want? I got that covered. It's like I'm climbing up Maslow's his levels of
Hierarchy of needs.
yeah,
self-actualization, or
yeah. So now I'm in self-actualization.
Yep, exactly.
Like, okay, cool. What do I want? You know what I want? I want to watch Michigan beat Georgia this evening. That's what I want.
Oh, wow.
Now
Yeah,
I may be able to watch, but I may not be able to get it. I may not be able to get the outcome.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be, I want to save humanity, or I want to invent the next jet propulsion or anything like that. It can be something pretty just straightforward.
And profoundly unprofound.
Exactly.
Almost remedial. It's like, I was talking to my daughter one time and I asked her what she wanted, and I got that it was this, like, she was thinking I wanted to be Mother Teresa. I said, no, whatever you want right now. What do you want right now? If you had the time and the money to do it. She goes, I just want to go down and have a cup of coffee with my friends. That's it. That's it. If you just allow yourself to do what you want right now in this moment, and magic will happen. Magic will happen.
Tim, you remember the time you and I went to see Adyashanti, and Adyashanti, who was this Buddhist teacher from over in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he was doing the Q&A after the meditation, and someone asked him, like, how do I discover my life's purpose? And Adya goes, well, I don't know how you do it, but I'll tell you, my life's purpose is to answer questions here, and then my life's purpose will be to walk to my Volkswagen, and then my life's purpose will be to drive back to Palo Alto.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, whoa, that was a teaching moment for me.
Yeah.
It's like in that moment, I let go of any grandiose life purpose things, and I decided that what he was trying to teach me was be present in the moment and decide what I want in the moment. So my life's purpose is to enjoy our conversation.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah. So where you at, Tim?
When I'm just totally in groove with what everyone's saying, but I'm conscious now, and so I know I'm not always in this state, and I live in the world of those barriers all the time.
Yeah.
Those beliefs, those expectations, and they get me very, very quickly, and that is where I kind of need, the day to day. How do I deal with those?
Okay, let's use that same principle. Give yourself permission to be in those obstacles, barriers all the time. I give myself permission to be in the barriers and obstacles all the time.
Ooh. So I give myself permission to live among my barriers.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
And I hold value as a human being.
And I hold value as a human being. Yeah, the whole statement is I hold value as a human being, and I live in my barriers, and I give myself permission to live in my barriers. Cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Let them just be. They're not going to go away.
Yeah.
The implication of that is that my value as a human being has nothing to do with what I'm doing or not doing.
And Tim, your complexion, your energy, I don't see auras, but I would say aura has shifted in this conversation to present, engaged, and that's it. This, you see, right now, you haven't given yourself permission to be in the barriers. You're through the barriers and in a conversation with us. Yippee! It's like, oh my God, this is cool. I can feel it. When I said yippee, I could feel that all the way through my body. It's like really cool. There's nothing you got to do, have to do, should do. Show up, and you were willing. You're one of the people that are willing to come on this podcast and just be present and talk and dialogue and see where it goes. So, wow, thank you, Tim.
What's next on the script here, John? Oh, I made another note to myself. And that has to do with, again, it's things I'm extrapolating as I'm listening to us chat, is that the power of focus. And focus can be conscious or subconscious. And what we're doing here, again, in this practice is, so when I own, I mean.
Yeah.
Where Tim owns, I love money more than I love my wife. There's a new focus occurring. First of all, I'm focusing on a truth that I didn't see for myself before.
Right.
Or Tim's focusing on a truth he couldn't see for himself before. And that opens up to what do I want? The creation of a new intention is essentially instructions to the subconscious to change focus and start looking for whatever it is I said I wanted. So I intend is essentially, among other things, it's an instruction to the reticular activating system, the focuser, to focus on something new. Focus on, you said the word, John, something different.
Mm-hmm.
And that when I facilitate meetings and I work with people on their intentions, I support them in being as specific as possible, because that helps the focus. And so Tim said, I intend to feel peaceful. Well, you can get direct evidence of whether you're feeling peaceful or not. I mean, that's available to the focus. So one of our principles is the quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention. And again, one of the values to me of accountability practice is it teaches me how to have much more conscious focus, even though 90% of my mind is subconscious. It's never going to change, no matter how intentional I am, but I don't need that to change. What I'm doing here is I'm sending instructions into my subconscious, and change is occurring there through my conscious intention and my conscious focus.
Yep. Yeah, that's the number one constant in the four constants: focus and attention.
Right.
Attention. If you don't have a conscious focus, your subconscious has got one for you, and it's from mine. I want to say mine. I don't know about yours. Is from that wounded child, and it is about safety and watching people don't hit him or degrade him, or he's on alert, and every little thing somebody raises an eyebrow, and that kid's like, what are you saying? How come you can't treat me like that? And it's like there's nothing going on in real time, because I'm not in real time. I'm stuck in that little wounded child place, and I find myself in that place less and less and less the more I do this work.
What I find is, I'd like to say I find myself in that place less. What I find is that by being conscious of it, I have a better relationship with it.
I like that.
So, for example, I think you were there Monday night, Tim, when we were doing at the Monday night meeting, we were doing a check-in, and we had a lot of people in the room. And so when we got to this one particular person who was almost near the end, I called on her and she said, "Finally." And I heard, "Why did you wait so long to get to me, asshole?" I mean, and it just like lightning bolt, my body alerted, oh my God, you did this wrong, and now you're going to be kicked out of the group. Like that.
Yep.
But I was utterly aware that was going on in real time. I mean, I felt it, and then I noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I just started laughing. So what I've discovered is that, the elapsed time between being aware of an old pattern, an old feeling, compulsion, is greatly reduced. Sometimes it still takes a week. If it's like something I'm really defending, Because and oftentimes all I can ever go to John is I give myself permission to be stuck in this.
Yeah.
Or I give myself permission to want to be here, to want to be stuck.
Yep. Yep.
And I hold value as a human being, and this too shall pass, and so forth. So yeah.
Would it be safe to say, John and Marty, that my subconscious is always working? It's always generating and responding.
Yep.
And
yep.
That's where the issues that blindside me happen, like you, Marty, that you heard her say something that could have been just neutral, but you took it, something in you got it deep.
Yeah. It's like John said, I don't know if I've ever heard you say quite this way, John, as you just did, but what I heard you say is, my little kid is on hyper alert all the time to defend against what he just heard.
Yep.
To defend against being kicked out of the group.
Yep.
Or kicked out of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so there he was doing his job.
See, I go into each group with the intent to come to a deeper awareness of myself as a human being. Guess what? I notice all those, because it's like somebody will say something or just come in the room, sit down with a plop. I'm going, oh shit, here we go again. And then I go, there it is. I just projected onto that person. I got them all figured out. I know, no, I don't. This is my, okay. And I take a breath. Okay, and get back present, and then do what I do.
It's a marvelous contraption, this human being.
I wake up every morning, I set my phone alarm, then I hit the snooze button. And as soon as I hit the snooze button, I go into my intents. Today I intend to be kind, or actually my intent is to be understand the Christ impulse, or be in unconditional compassion, or to learn and grow. And of course that may happen for like 5-10 seconds. I go back to sleep and I hit the snooze, but when it goes off, I hit the snooze button again and create an intent. That's my practice every morning. And what I know is that if I'm not intending something consciously, that little boy in me has got an intent, and he wants me to be safe, and anybody that messes with me is going to get it, and they better watch out. Where this is, everybody's offering me an opportunity to learn more. That's my intent. So that intent umbrellas my day, and I see these things in me, these little nuances and proclivities, or and grow. Intent is a command to this midbrain brainstem to seek and find what I say I want: peace, unconditional compassion, to understand the Christ impulse, what that means, to forgive myself. And otherwise, I lived half of my life being driven by a petulant 8-year-old, and I didn't know he was driving the bus. And he's still, luckily for me, petulant. Only he sits in one of the seats and I drive. Every once in a while he'll pop up with something. I'll acknowledge, I see you. That happened. That just happened. And I intend to live in peace. So it's the hypervigilance is turned into hyper intentionality,
which is hyper love,
which is paying attention to myself,
right?
Being unconditional with myself. Just, oh, there you are again. What do you want? Not, oh, you dumbass. Oh, you stupid. You're not getting it. What's wrong with me? No, there you are again. Okay, and I intend to live in peace. So,
well, guys, we're coming up to the top of the hour here, and Tim, before we wrap it up, I want to see if there's any last-minute thoughts that you have, or comments or questions that you'd like to put to John before we give John the last word, as we like to do.
Well, uh, the one thing that I was hearing is that we're picking up more of the negative things. I'll call them negative than the positive. That seems to hook. And so if there's a bias toward that, if there's anything that can help me or others on a day-to-day, like, you know, should I be looking for, hey, there's good things happening too that I'm not filtering, I'm not picking those up. I'm getting the negative things more than those that bring me joy and peace. At least that's kind of how my mind thinks of it right now.
I would simply say, just be aware that you're doing it, and the awareness will give you a, there it is again, I'm doing it. Well, I'm coming from my subconscious. I'm not, well, what do I want right now? I want to relax. I want to just be at peace with me and my surroundings. And over a period of time, that intent, I want to be at peace with people in my surroundings, will be then part of your subconscious. And you'll find yourself in a long period of time where you weren't thinking negatively or were influenced negatively or projected negatively, or and see, Tim, the people around you will shift, and you're actually, what's happening is your perception of them has shifted, and it looks like they just changed. How come you waited so long to change? Well, actually what the change was, me bringing that subconscious into my awareness, saying what I want, and then letting it go back down into my subconscious and paying attention. There I go again. Oh my God. Or, oh my God, I didn't go there. Oh my God. It's really cool. So, and
yeah,
I'll let
they're
that
great.
I'll let that be my last word too. So really cool.
Well, Tim, what a great joy to have you be our last guest of this calendar year, 2021. And John, it's been great to be with you, not every single week, but most of the weeks of this year.
Yeah.
And continue to learn about myself through the lens of working with you and projecting onto you everything I can do, and then withdrawing those projections to the best of my ability.
Yes.
So I look forward to picking this up again in the new year. And Tim, I hope that you'll consider coming back on and being part of us
Thank you.
sometime
I really
in 2022.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate being here.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thank you both.
Take care.